Hey y'all, Peter Bros Golf Show back at it again. One day late, respecting the NBA Finals. I am Rod.
Now, Marcus.
Welcome in, y'all. Hopefully, y'all had a good U.S. Open weekend, wet and rainy, and it looks like it's continued um, early in the week in Connecticut as well. I saw some videos from TaylorMade with Tommy Fleetwood practicing in downpours. So the rain continues across the country. I know you've been getting some rain down
Oh
there
yeah,
this week as well.
probably about a week and a half straight now. I'm honestly off and on.
That is sad for golf for purposes.
Truly.
So, man, let's get into it. I mean, we were talking, really cash stuff about JJ Spaun earlier in the year. Second event of the year in Hawaii. While I just went into the final round with the lead, wasn't able to capture it. Didn't seem like he played aggressively enough in that you know, final round,
Yeah.
playing to the middle of greens, parring out, not aggressive enough to go get the win. Made it into the playoff at the Players versus Rory, and just a kind of a flogging, honestly. Rory getting a birdie, I think Spawn parted in the first leg of that, and then misreads the club that Rory pulled, or I think properly guessed it, but then flew the green entirely.
Yeah.
Rory hitting a really a cutty nine. Uh, Looked like JJ straight flushed it and flew the green. So again, close but not good enough. And we also talked about final round of the players. JJ Spawn had an opportunity to win it outright, but left a ton of putts short.
Yeah.
That was a big difference, honestly, that I noticed very much so early on in the tournament, with him popping out, getting the ball to the hole,
Yeah.
not playing scared. I mean, these greens were rolling at 14 on the stimp meter, so I was rooting for him. I was out playing around on Sunday. Also, rain interrupted, and got a text like, "Hey, JJ Spawn's falling apart," because I wasn't watching it too closely, and then they of course went into their rain delay. So happy to see that man finally get across the finish line. Seems like well liked on tour, well received. Getting that the applauses. Saw Bob McIntyre, saw Terrell Hadden both seeing it in real time, and their reactions were like, I was very, I don't know, I like Terrell Hadden, especially when he's not throwing clubs or beating the heck out of the golf course. But he's like, what a way to win it. And Bob McIntyre applauding in the scorers area. So what do you think, man? Just JJ Spawn right off the top, and then we'll get into more specifics around like Oakmont.
Yeah. Yeah. JJ Spawn really shut us up about his caddy and his gameplay and everything like that. I mean, the caddy did what he was supposed to do. JJ Spawn came through and made some clutch birdies on the end. He really steadied the ship. So, as much as we wanted to talk about him being too cool and sticking to his strategies, and it ended up working out for him. So, um, I think it was. I don't want to say it was a long time coming because you never know. It might never be somebody's day, but I'm glad he was able to, finally kick the door down for him in his career. Hopefully, it invigorates him to want to win more, stay longer on the tour, because as you can hear, he was seeming very existential about, his career and how it was going and how it was transpiring. And, him thinking back and shoot, I've been here 10 years. I made some money. Worst case
Yeah,
scenario, if I have to get out, I've done enough. Like when you talk like that, it kind of alarming, because what else are you going to do? But glad that, he was able to break through and, 5 more years on tour, all of the majors, 5 more players. I think he gets 10 years for the U.S. Open or something like that. But all the other majors
right.
plus the players is 5. So, he's got at least another, 5 years on tour. So, yeah, good on him. And I'm glad he clutched up. I mean, I think all he needed to do was 2 putt anyways, but that was a pretty much a statement. And then shout out to Vic Hovland for the read on the putt just in front of him. Because I mean, they was
Right.
within 2 inches of each other on the green. So I mean, it was utter perfection.
Yeah, but you couldn't have written it up that you thought he was going to make it, and even getting a read, it seemed there was so many
You still
breaks
got
to
to make
those
the putt
greens.
though.
Right, right. You have to execute on it. Um, I told you today, seeing lab putters in the wild now. I can imagine that their website was going crazy. We've talked about it that they just have not had any signature
Winners.
wins. So they needed
Yeah.
that. Um, and it's good that he was the kind of poster boy for that. Adam Scott, who was kind of the creator of that putter, helped co-create it. Had a heck of a weekend as well, really
Yeah.
competing and showing himself. I mean, he's got one of the prettiest swings in the game. Still holding up very strong and able to compete for 4 days. But yeah, back to JJ Spaun. I mean, just a lot of great energy around him. We're finding out a lot of personal information about him. A little tidbit I saw with him and his wife that he's on a 5-hour practice count, so can't be gone for more than 5 hours. Supposed to encourage, family time and for him to be an efficient worker and get out there, get his work in, and bring it on in, and not gone all day at the golf course. So, I mean, seems like a good guy to
Mm.
root for. Very gracious. Like you said, you hate to hear people talk about, their career kind of this like, because we'll talk about it with Rory later, but you know, this could be the top of the mountaintop for him, right? He's not a guy that
Yeah.
we've seen him struggle. He's had one tour win up to this point, and there's no guarantees that this sets him off or that he, you know, plays at this high level going forward. There's probably going to be some version of a letdown, even though he's back at it again this week. But hopefully, he's humble enough, but also catches that vibe. We've seen a couple of guys this year get the momentum and then keep it going and getting another victory soon thereafter. We recently saw Ryan Fox do it. We've seen Ben Griffin catch that momentum. Even though they are named players, we know Rory has won 3 this year in a major, including a major. Scotty has won 3 this year, including a major. So,
Yeah.
momentum can be palpable. Um, so rooting for the guy, and hopefully that there's more success to come. And um, his is an interesting, not interesting, but few interesting tidbits about his what's in the bag when we get to that as well. Anything else about JJ before we keep it moving?
No. I mean, we can consolidate. We got more time to talk about JJ in other segments.
Cool. We'll come back to him. I mean, of course, rain was the story of the weekend. The delay on Sunday helping what seemingly was JJ's round. Came out with 5 bogeys in the first 6 holes. Not a great start. Not a great
Right.
start. Course was winning, so the mental reset seemed to help him. We saw Terrell Hatton get asked a dumb question from a reporter about his restart impacting him, and he said, "Obviously, it wasn't great for me." And the reporter asked something like, "What do you mean by that?" In a not ironic Drewski type of way. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, and then we saw the fairways being just full of water.
Right.
What do you think about Oakmont after the water? Was it still a fair test? I mean, even we saw rain all week, and the USGA was not willing to bend on that, and they were ball down all week. No lift clean in place. They were not allowing players to get relief. We saw that with Sam Burns coming down the stretch. Do you think it ended up being a fair test?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was. I think that was probably the most egregious miss. I think what USGA probably was afraid of was the amount of relief that they were going to have to give for everybody else. Because of the amount of water that was going on. But I don't know. I really felt like I don't know. I felt like a lot of that. I saw Adam Scott in the fairway. He marked his ball, took relief for the casual water, and then just went about his day. But like, he did that amongst players. Like it was kind of like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I didn't see a rule. I didn't see a rules official tell him he could do that. But like, I thought that was just kind of like general principle. So I thought that was kind of what was going to happen with Sam Burns, but clearly it didn't. And again, like I said, I could be wrong because I only turned around and saw a snippet of what happened with Adam Scott. I saw him picking up
So
the
he could
ball.
have gotten a ruling.
Yeah, he could have gotten a ruling of what had happened to him. So I could be wrong on this. So don't,
Because he was in the final group with Scott, Adam Scott. So
yeah,
you would think that if it was a gentleman's call, that they would have had it both ways, right? So I'm
correct.
assuming, I would assume from that Scott got a ruling and it was approved. However, you saw on the shot that Sam Burns ended up pulling to the left out of that water. I mean, the practice swings were clearly showing water flying off of the
Yeah,
club right next to the ball. So that was crazy, to
yeah,
have two rules official deny him. And I don't know. It's just the USGA has gotten a reputation of making kind of bonehead calls, and they don't help themselves. I mean, the course is playing tough enough, right?
right.
They don't have to be these sticklers, especially if you are in the fairway. I
Yeah,
think this goes back to our complaints about golf, rules of golf in general, not being common sense enough that
yeah,
the fairway should be a reward, particularly out there. If
yeah.
you were in the rough, I mean,
It
you
was
were getting
penal enough.
penalized, right?
Yeah,
Right. So these tight fairways, if you hit them, whatever the conditions would have presented in the fairway, which goes back to our divot argument, you should not be penalized for these commonly hit areas or where there is a, you know, embankment that takes everybody down to the same area, and then you're at the just luck of the draw if you end up in somebody's divot. It will
right.
always be bullshit to me. I don't care if it's competition or not. Fairways should be rewarded. That's it.
Yeah,
That's to my position on that. But again, the water was it was just inundated. I mean, they had
yeah,
gotten dumped on. We saw it during the break. Just collections of water
yeah,
streaming down into those low areas, and he ended up in a low area. So I don't know. For that reason, I think overall the course was a fair test of golf. Saw Vic Hovland say, that it was the most consistent rough that he had ever seen.
yeah,
Consistent throughout the course. We saw the videos all throughout the week of the guys out there, individual mowers. They didn't have the big machines out there. They had individual guys mowing in a line. I guess it ended up with the result that they wanted, which was a consistent product of rough.
a
And I think guys played a lot
uniform.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They talked about it. Doing things like mowing both directions to make sure that the rough stuck upright, gradually growing the rough inch by inch to make sure that it wasn't a case of like the root growing up too high and so it's sitting on top. Like they wanted the root to be at the bottom and it to sit
right.
down and literally penalize you for being in the rough. But yeah, I think the course still played decent after the rain as well. I think I felt like the guys that were still out there were able to get to the ball a little bit easier because it had kind of laid it down just from the wilt of the rain. But I think Sam Burns kind of got there is no like question about it. Sam Burns got he got hold on the railing, but I don't think that's the end all be all of why he lost. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel
Right.
like he didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like it was an unfortunate ruling, yes, but Sam Burns shot a 78. So even if he shoots a 76 and pars out, then he still loses by 2 strokes or something like that. That means he gets back to 1 over or something like that for the day or for the tournament. But I think JJ Spaun did enough to go out and win it. We always have this debate of did he go out and win it or did he do enough to not lose it? And I felt like the way he started compared to the way he finished, I felt like he went out and won it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, agree. And then the clutch putt, right? I mean,
Right.
you can
And that's the
easily
thing.
see you can easily foresee a scenario where he three putts and
Right.
has to go into the playoffs, right?
Exactly that. So yeah, I felt like Bob and Tyrrell were very good sports. um Unfortunately, Tyrrell got pressed by the media. We love Tyrrell. Shout out to his personality and everything he does on the game, because I feel like he's not a true one of us, because like he's 5'4", all of 5'5", and he's hitting the ball well past us, as bigger, stouter, stronger guys. But he didn't necessarily get the best breaks, but he missed shots. So yes, he did. But the way the media is reporting right now, I feel like there's not enough, just like the USGA, there's not enough common sense questions being asked. Like, the guy literally laid it all out on the line, and you're asking him why he felt like he didn't deserve bad breaks. You're asking a golfer that is playing golf at the highest level at one of the most prestigious majors to ever be played, and you're asking him why he felt like he didn't deserve bad breaks. Like, do you hear yourself asking the questions?
So, bro, I think on the media side, which we've been battering behind the scenes, I think it's kind of like journalism in general is that so many corners and have been cut from a media standpoint, right? Magazines,
Yeah.
publications are cutting their budgets, and so a lot of guys that we probably respect that are true journalists are now kind of independent and may not necessarily camera time they deserve, and are kind of stuck with smaller outfits or doing their own thing. And guys like Dan Rappaport
We're getting
have
industry
been
plans.
getting have been getting shuttled around. Like, dude, I swear has now been on like 3 or 4 different publications, right?
Yeah.
Covering golf, and I feel like he's really close to being at the end of his run, because I mean it's pretty universal that I cannot say I've ever seen somebody saying that they love Dan Rappaport, right? I think he's getting into that Brandel Chambly territory for different reasons. I don't even think he works as hard as Brandel Chambly. I'll give credit to Brandel for working hard at least. You may hate his opinions, but he's at least going to put in some research. I feel like Dan Rappaport just shows up and tries to be a bro.
Yeah.
Really awkward when he's connected to the players. So we're seeing a lot of journalists and interviewers in that cloth, like Dan Rappaport,
Yeah.
get a lot of shine right now, and this is the result.
It's actually a full circle moment, because I'm sitting here kind of begging for a Brando Chambly opinion now. Like, I'm like, Brando, what you got to say now? Brando, I kind of agree with you here. You know what, Brando, you kind of spitting. Like, that is where we're at, because like, in the unfortunate part about it is Scratch is such a good product. I love their social media
Yes.
presence. They have a great impact on the game. I feel like they don't, really inject themselves too hard. They're not forcing anything except for Dan. That's the only thing that I feel like they're forcing on our necks, and I don't want it. But everything else about
Yeah.
Scratch is great. So hopefully they can pivot. and get to somebody a little bit more, not even
I know,
necessarily polarizing, but just more likable and more organic.
more knowledgeable, honestly.
Truly,
Um,
something.
I feel like Scratch, the appeal of Scratch, and why I think probably you and I like them a lot, is that they cater to the amateur golfer quite a bit, and a lot of
Right.
their
True.
content, you know, trends that direction. Smaller stories, niche stories that you wouldn't necessarily see from the bigger outlets. And I guess my perception of it is that inserting Dan Rappaport is like a ploy to kind of get more coverage around the PGA Tour, but it's going badly. I mean, again, comment sections really do tell, you know, when it's just people saying, like when he does stumble upon a good point, you know, you'll see comments that are like, I usually hate you, but you know, good
Right.
job on this particular take. Like it's like a
Right.
backhanded compliment when he actually does, you know, stumble into something correct. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm waiting for his Bobby Altoff moment, the homegirl that was doing all the podcast interviews with rappers and celebs, and then all of a sudden it was discovered that she was a plant, or that people were just like, you don't got it. I'm waiting for
Right.
his time to his hourglass moment to be done, whatever that is.
It's time to be up. Yes, sir. I'm ready for that experiment to be over with as well.
All right. Let's get into the live guys and see how they fared. I figure this is always a good exercise to go through when we go through a major, right? This is the time that we
Yeah.
get to see them playing against everybody. So I have this pulled up.
Rather refreshing, actually. Not gonna lie to you.
That they actually did pretty decently.
I mean, it was about. I mean, it was about half and half, but the names that rose to the top was a little bit hilarious. But
Correct. Correct. Yeah, it was some
yeah,
out of the box for sure.
correct. Because they don't champion Carlos Ortiz at all, and he had the best finish. Now, if you want to talk about letting it slip away, Buddy let it slip away on Saturday, and he ain't look. I didn't really feel like he had it back fully together after that. But
You're saying
um,
Ortiz?
yeah, Carlos Ortiz.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, he hasn't been there, right? I mean, he just
yeah,
literally has not been in that position up to this point. And he was tied for fourth with Haddon, right? Who we just were talking about. Which Haddon plays a lot of golf. We've also discussed that Haddon is going to get out there on the DP World Tour. He's going to play all year and
yeah,
keep himself fresh. And you know, I
yeah,
think Haddon will find his. I think at some point Terrell Haddon will also cross the finish line and get himself a major. He's played way too well in majors to not get there, right? And consistently. We're talking
facts.
about year to year. It's not like that year that Ricky had all those high finishes, or Will Zalatoris, and then never to be seen again. Hatton's consistently performed in those big moments, and that probably speaks to his mentality. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I was surprised. I mean, there were, you know, John Rahm, T7, +4, very respectable.
right.
Not that Brooks Koepka had a true chance to win this thing, but I mean, the fact that he was tied for 12th at +6, I mean, he was talking about some swing adjustments. Very, very honest. I think the man's been being lazy. Probably not in the best shape of his life, but he also mentioned that, hey, there were some lazy swing habits that I had to get, you know, corrected and get tightened up on. And it's like he was getting some tough love from the coaches, and that's what happened. So, I mean, I would love to see Big Game Brooks keep showing up to majors and, you know,
Yeah,
regain the form that we saw just really 2 years ago.
yeah. That's another thing that I mean, just I don't want to harp on it again, but that's the thing that media is always constantly trying to do now is look for excerpts and look for quotables and stuff like that. They don't want to do the work to make an actual story and do the research on things like that. Like they just wanted to cold ass Brooks Koepka, who we know is a relatively secretive guy, a relatively, reclusive guy besides the golf that you see him play. They wanted to know the whole spat that happened. Brooks Koepka gave you what he wanted to give you. Peter Cowan,
Right.
longtime coach, very established, very polarizing in the game of golf, in the world of coaching. So if Peter Cowan has something to say about your game and what you're doing, he definitely is disappointed in what you got going on. So that's all he had to say about that. I got laid into, I got my act right in the bunker, and we went on about our day. And then he gave him more. He was saying, I want this type of person in my cabinet. This is who I want. I want somebody that's not going to be a yes man. That was refreshing enough that he gave us that.
Yeah.
Then he went on to say, JT checked on me at dinner and made sure I was all right because he was really getting cooked over there on the bunker.
Right.
But like the media just kept trying to press him. Well, what was said? What was he talking about? What was it in regards to? Some things about my swing, some things I needed to fix about my swing. What he told you? What are we not? What's not clicking? Like what's not clicking? That had me
Right.
tilted because I'm like, there's no way you're still like harping on this. But as it pertains to the LIV boys, I'm not really too surprised about anything besides Joaquin Neiman and Bryson DeChambeau. Did I think they were going to truly compete? DeChambeau on back-to-back U.S. Open years? No. I loved all his content and stuff like that. He went the whole round, gave us all the gems about what it was looking like, how it was playing, and stuff like that. But you think they would at least make the cut? Joaquin Neiman, I felt like he'd be middle of the pack, and then kind of make a push towards Sunday late. But I don't know. I felt like, well, clearly he was spraying the ball, but DeChambeau, I felt like he was gonna give us a better show than what he did. So DJ
Yeah.
+10, whoever Kazuma is +9, don't care. Phil, Phil was a story
I
because
mean,
they want.
he did better than I thought he was going to do.
Agreed. I think Phil is trying to. Phil was a story this year because they wanted him to play good enough to where he could qualify for next year's Open on his own and not have to do it based off like merit and do exemptions and that whole route and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think he'll still end up getting a special exemption and play, and then we'll see how he goes from there if he wants to continue this trend or whatnot. But I don't know. Phil really takes ownership of his media rights now, apparently. So he's not giving any interviews or media obligations.
Well,
So
Phil is all about the dollar. So
right,
if he's not getting paid for it, then Phil has no interest in it. And we found out recently that I think with the LIV deals that they don't own their media rights. So
right,
apparently, side note, Bryson DeChambeau doesn't directly own his YouTube channel, which does numbers. That apparently LIV is getting the revenue or owns the rights to that content. So that's all interesting, but Phil's all about the scratch, which of course he needs to be. Who knows if he's cured his gambling habit or not? But that's just the world that Phil has chosen to live in at this point.
yeah, truly. Another check for Mark Leishman. That's just what it
Right.
was. Patrick Reed had a bro. I mean, listen. I'm a hater as big as the next one, but Patrick Reed had that albatross he had. That shit was pure. I mean, that you
Majestic, bro.
couldn't. It literally, no, like literally, like that was probably literally it was a perfect shot. But I mean, you could tell off the face like that was just everything you wanted out of
I,
a 3-wood. 286.
I mean, legitimately, Patrick Reed hits the best draw ball
I
that
think
I've ever
so.
seen.
Yeah,
Ever.
you can't
Like,
take that
I
away from
mean,
him.
it's a tight draw. The downside, of course, is that when a cut is called for,
He
he
ain't got
has to
it.
do that big wild helicopter finish to achieve it. That's the downside. But as it relates to if the hole calls for a draw, it's just beautiful. The
Yeah,
trajectory and just the way that it curves is perfect every time. So shout out to Patrick Reed for what he does bring to the table. But yeah,
yeah. Just
but
another
yeah, I
check.
mean, I would say their results are better than we've seen. But like you said, two surprising ones. I think as it relates to two notes from me. Joaquin Neiman has had that pressure on him the last 2 years, while performing very well on the live circuit, has not come out very well in these, total full field events and been able to provide the same prowess.
Yeah,
And he's been hyped as someone who kind of has been like the number two in terms of talent and potential coming over from live. We know Bryson gets the hype and people are going to root for him, which I mean recent history, he just won the US Open last year, was defending, so kind of sucks that he didn't make the weekend here. But I think, to be honest, I think Neiman's finally crumbling under the pressure of what could be,
right.
and them pushing him out there as a potential star, because he very well could be. If he messes around and gets a major, it gives them now the live side, despite all of the flaws of their league and from a competition standpoint, the ability to say, hey, we've had, now three major winners on our tour, and that doesn't include Bland winning the senior stuff.
Right.
But, Kepka, DeChambeau, and now Neiman, that's really big acclaim since, they came over to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's one thing, one note. And then also Ballester. We talked about it last week that him going over to live, I think, is a mistake for his career. Him being so young and the developmental challenges and that are going to be unique to being in that scenario, playing less golf than he otherwise would, going through the Corn Ferry Tour, um, PGA Tour Americas, whatever, PGA Tour U, all these different avenues where you're playing golf consistently. So
Yeah,
while he was granted this berth into this, U.S. Open, we see the result plus 12 over 2 days.
yeah.
Um, he's not, even though the talent is there, he's not going to be able to cultivate that without playing. So I hope that he gets starts over on the DP World Tour, the Asian Tour, other avenues to play golf often, and not just take the money and sit on his ass. I hope that's not the case for him.
You know what this really reminds me, Rod? This really reminds me that this current generation, oh my god, I hate to go unk status.
Okay, old
Right.
man.
I know. I really hate to go unk status, but yeah, it's just unfortunate because you're gonna really see who's cut from a different cloth. And you're gonna see who truly has the urgency, who truly has the work ethic, and who's literally just looking for a check. Because if you're just looking for a check, then clearly you can go over there and grab you some bread and ride off into the sunset if it doesn't work out. But then, not to harp on the same guy, but Chikara literally
Right.
is hungry. He's hungry. He said, I'm hungry for a legacy. I'm hungry for wins. I don't want just a blank check and then to just go out and play 13, 14 times out the year and then just be at the crib chilling. Like
Right.
me practicing at home ain't gonna do me no good because the guys I play with, they don't have money like that. We playing a
Right.
$100 money game. That's not hunger. That's not gonna keep me in business.
It's not the same level of competition,
It's not the
and
same level of competition. You're still giving shots to these guys. These guys aren't all going to be plus fives, plus sevens, whatever
and
pros play to.
that even includes his college buddies who played at a high level that haven't made had the same success. And
Right.
honestly, with golf being an individual sport, I mean, a lot of times you're not necessarily good friends with the guys that are at a high level with you, right? I mean,
that
we've had a
makes you
few
more
exceptions.
hungry.
Right.
I want to
Right.
beat the next MFer.
We've only had a few exceptions to that. Jordan Spieth, JT, we know they're good buddies. You
Yeah,
know, maybe going to the same school. The Oklahoma State guys have actually had a pretty decent level of success with a lot of pros. But again, those aren't your close homeboys that you're playing with on the weekend. We've heard Scotty Scheffler talk about his group of homeboys he's given tons of shots to, right?
right.
He's not up here, you know, he's in Dallas. So even though we've talked about the guys that are here in DFW now that have kind of found that this is a good hub, you know, for flights and otherwise the weather's not horrible. Who is it that's at his club? Not Si is it Siwoo Kim?
Siwoo
No, Tom
Kim,
Kim.
Tom Kim.
Tom Kim here in Dallas. But I
They might
mean,
be both out of Dallas because I don't. It's either them and then like there's a bunch of guys that are now out of Vegas.
yeah.
Now and then the
So
usual gang in Florida.
yeah, little Arizona here in the Scottsdale area, but it's
Yeah,
starting to spread out. But again, these
right.
guys are now kind of on their own. They're working with their coaches, which has become, you know, pretty much the way athletics is going. Right, you have your team, you know, whether that that's strength and conditioning, that's your swing coach, your putting coach, your mindfulness coach, all these different guys. So you're not dealing with like your homeboys because you have a whole team behind you.
Right.
So anyway, we're going down the rabbit hole. Hope Ballester again figures out a way to balance out the early success and money with training hard, continuing to get better at the game, and not peaking at this age that he's at. Right,
Correct.
USAM to playing in the Masters, playing in the U.S. Open, not making the cut, not playing well, but then kind of exploring his game, getting better. Let's transition over. We talked early on in the show about JJ kind of reaching the peak. And I think we've seen that also with Rory, right? Rory did not show up well for the PGA Championship, and the driver was an issue. It's really seemed like an issue since then. Him putting the QI35 in the bag permanently. Oh no, sorry, he went back to the QI10.
We
Found
went back
another
to the QI.
QI10 that he was playing with this week. Um, but interesting quotes coming from him. I'm gonna share my screen here from Instagram. But it says I climbed my Mount Everest in April, and I think after you do something like that, you've got to make your way back down, and you've got to look for another mountain to climb. And Open at Portrush is certainly one of those. So clearly, Rory's indicating finding motivation now that he's reached that peak, right? Had the release, the pressure of not winning. It's not even just his Grand Slam. He hadn't won a major in 11 years up
Right.
to that point. So it's not just that one thing. It's the culmination of all that stuff, right? Especially
Yeah.
being the main face of the PGA Tour for the first two years of the LIV split. He was the mouthpiece. We were seeing Rory damn near every week. And to be honest, he's been very open with the media. That's another factor that we could talk about, which is, him feeling like there was deception, or just, the fact that his information about the driver being pulled, leaking, and Scotty's not leaking, but Scotty just being a stand up guy, revealing that information, and Rory feeling like the trust was violated. So I think there's a number of different things that are at play with Rory and kind of his indifference to the game. And I think he even said he didn't really care if he made the weekend or not at Oakmont, but kind of just was playing free because I think he told himself late, on the back nine, the second day, look, I don't care if I make it or not. He ends up making two birdies down the stretch to make the
Yeah.
cut line. But I mean, I don't know. It's kind of concerning. He doesn't look like he's happy. He doesn't look like he's having fun out there. What do you think the outlook is for the rest of the year? Do you think Rory can get up for this, one more event, go through the playoffs, take a long break over the winter, and kind of push the reset button? What do you think the outlook is for him?
Yeah, generally speaking, I've pretty much respected everything Rory's had to say about the come down of winning the Grand Slam and the 11-year drought. But I don't know if I necessarily like the verbiage used when he said about the Mount Rushmore. Like, that's not necessarily something that I'd like to hear from one of my top guys. Still one of my favorite
Yeah.
players, but like, bruh, this has got to be I think for me, I would be still saying something to the effect of, I'm still trying to climb mountaintops. Yes, that was your biggest battle, but like, it's always an uphill battle. You're always looking for something to fight for. And you're 34 or 35 now. Bro, you still got multiple Ryder Cups left for you to get invigorated by. There's multiple different major venues that I know you're looking at and you're like, oh, I could eat that up. Pause. But like, that's the type of things that should still be inspiring you. So honestly, Rod, I hope it's something that's off the course that's really affecting him. Hopefully it's not something
Yeah, the marriage or
the marriage
something.
again. Right. Because apparently, I think I sent you the link. But
Yeah,
apparently
about the house.
after the season, he's trying to sell the Florida crib and they moving all the way over to the European side. So like, you're gonna fly over here in spurts. You're gonna play a couple of weeks. You're gonna play the elevated events. You're gonna play the majors. Then what? You gonna play the DP World Tour? You gonna try to be a dad? Like, what's the deal? Like,
Right. I don't know. It seems like he's really wants to be a dad, right? Like the emotions that he shares with his daughter after these wins has been touching, but it seems like a lot, right?
right? It seems, yeah,
Like she seems to be the glue that's holding the family together.
right,
Um, the marriage still looks a little bit shaky, right? This is us looking from 1,000 feet away. We have no idea what's really going on. None of us know
right.
what's happening behind closed doors. But I'm just from outwardly how he reacts to his daughter and
Compared
the
to Erica, no,
it's
it's
weird.
like stark
Yeah, I
difference.
mean you can see it, right?
You saw the interaction, like ran immediately to Poppy, then like kind of after the fact was like deep hug with Erica, the head down, like it wasn't like the little smooch or whatever. I don't know. I feel like Scotty and Mare, they always happy. They love each other. They come off, they
Right.
be cheesing. She give a big hug. She be jumping and bouncing and stuff. We're not seeing that from Erica. Erica is
No.
diplomatic. Erica is here for Poppy, and then they keep it moving. They all went over as a family to the clubhouse. He did the scoring. Then he had a couple more moments, and the moments were all dedicated to Poppy, not to Erica, not to the family, not to anything other than my daughter. Blah 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 blah. So yeah, like I said, respectfully, hopefully it is something off the course, but nothing too serious that is not reconcilable. That is my
Yeah.
only thing that I have to say, because as far as the game goes, I still see so much left in Rory, and I don't want him to ride off into the sunset yet, selfishly enough.
Yeah, I mean, the swing is built for the long term, right? There's
Right.
not a lot of crazy moves in there. It's still as fluid as it ever has been.
It looks
He's not
natural, and it's one of the
right.
most aesthetically pleasing swings, most technically sound swings that you'll ever see.
Yeah, he's not struggled with injuries for the long term that have slowed him down. So I think in terms of setting goals, he's at 5 majors now. I mean, feels at 6. So I mean, if you just want to like challenge that, right? Let me get ahead of Phil.
Yeah.
Let me try to reset my mind to go get 2 more majors. I'll be third on the list at that. Well, not third. Hold on. So we got
Uh,
Jack. Then we got Tiger. Where is
Arnold is 8. Arnold is 8.
Okay, so shoot for that. I mean,
Right. I mean, you kind of need the
Walter
Michael
Hagen.
Jordan.
We got Walter Hagen. We got Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Tom Watson. There's a number of different names that you could challenge, but I know
Yeah.
you don't like Phil. We know he doesn't like Phil. So, shit, go for him. Go get to 7.
He needs the Michael Jordan. He said it was very simple on the last dance. He said, and that was enough for me, because it should be like that. Like, get 2 more, and cement that, slam dunk it, bro. Like, be for real.
Right. It's so weird. On this damn Google list I'm looking at, they literally do not have like a couple people. It's weird.
Really?
Don't trust AI. AI is bad. This is like the AI generated list. And they don't have Arnold Palmer on there. It's weird. So yeah,
That's weird.
y'all don't trust AI, y'all. It's not everything. It has its use cases, but as it relates to Rory, he's also become very polarizing. And I didn't watch the video originally when it came across my feed from Roger Steele. Y'all, if y'all don't follow Roger Steele from the Creator Classic, he's an amazing follow. Go check him out. Hell of a golfer too. I started following him on Gen just to look at his scores, but he's a good follow on Instagram in particular. And yeah, let me pull his video up. It's about 3 minutes that I'm going to play here. Hopefully we don't get any buffering.
I got mixed emotions about this past weekend. Congrats to JJ for winning the US Open, but I think us golf fans, we done lost Rory. Yeah, I think he done with us, bro. I ain't talking about Rory the player, because I think he's still gonna whoop ass. I'm talking about Rory the person. We done took one of the best golfers of our generation who was thoughtful enough to have opinions and vulnerable enough to share them, and we done ran his ass off. Why, you may ask? Because we golfers. We toxic. We generally don't know how to accept good things. Of course, Architect give us a wide part of the fairway at 250. What we do? Try to hit driver to the skinny part. Pin tucked on the left with a World War II bunker short side. Where we aim? In the middle of the conflict. It's the American way. Or we finally do get a birdie look, but it's a slippery one. What we gonna do? Ram it? 3-putt it? Like my mama told me, you can't bless the unblessed. You know what? For golf to be a thinking person game, we got to be the dumbest segment of recreational athlete, right behind people who play pickup basketball in their 40s. Cause who need ligaments and tendons below the knees? Am I right? No, y'all really need to stop doing that shit. Just hang it up. But no, on some real shit, Rory is a modern day Arnold Palmer. You know what I mean? Arnie brought golf to the people. He won trophies on the course, but he won the hearts and imaginations of people off the course. He was a figure with or without a club in his hand. You know, he was a mind. He was a heart. He was a human. You know what? Rory cut from that same cloth, man. He speak up on stuff that matters. Just think about all the stuff Rory done gave us insights on. Player policy BS, LIV, USGA rollback, American Greed at the Ryder Cup, slow play, with some name drops, athlete mental health. Do you know how dope it is to not have a star hide behind niceties, hide behind their game? You know how rare it is to have an athlete on pace to be a billionaire, use their most precious commodity, which is time, and share the thoughts that's on their mind? Everybody's talking shit about him. Have you actually asked yourself, what does Rory get out of talking to the media? Like, what's in it for him? Everybody out there like, Rory need to shut up. Who the hell else is gonna tell us their truth? Who the hell else say anything real in golf anymore? Shit, nobody in the top 10. Nah, I get it. Y'all just want some more of them middle of the road ass interviews. I actually don't have an opinion on the matter. I'm just hoping all those things work themselves out. I'm just here doing the same thing everybody else is doing for the same reason everybody else is doing. And if you'd ever so kindly leave me alone, I'd like to go back to making a maximal amount of money for as minimal words as possible. I'm just saying, man, a lot of these post-round interviews might as well be pre-recorded. You know, no offense to anybody that's getting their money like that. You know, it's on my vision board to get it like that in like 2030 as well. So y'all are goals. Like, are we seeing how rare a golfer like Rory is? So I'm talking to everybody, man, the media, fans. We gotta chill out. We gotta stop weaponizing the transparency. We gotta stop demonizing his circumstances. We gotta give him grace when he don't feel like talking, and we gotta welcome him with open arms when he do feel like blessing us with some wisdom. Now, what I'm not gonna do is sit here and say that one man is bigger than the game, but what I will say is if somebody like Rory stop talking, stop caring, the game shrinks. We gotta make the game a safer place for the players, especially the legends. I kinda miss the days where the media used to protect the athletes. Kinda gotta ask yourself, is viral headlines worth weakening the game vital signs? We done messed around and shut up and dribble, Rory. Man, that shot was ass. I know.
The only thing I disagree with Roger Steele on that 3-minute rant is those shorts. Like everything else for that man to go for 3 minutes and to be solid throughout. Like I'm honestly like,
Yeah.
we've talked about our fandom. We've not been shy about our fandom for Rory. You can go back in the archives. We've talked about his discussions about mental health. He's been very transparent. He's been in front of the cameras, has not been shy, and then gets punished for it. So, I mean, I get Rory's pullback and mental battles. So I'm like I said, you know where we stand on this show if you've been here for any length of time. We do want to see him come back elated that he got his Masters win, but as Roger Steele said, you can't punish the man for giving us what other players do not. And
Right.
yeah, I think he's been out there. I can't name another golfer that readily gets in front of the mic, even though Scotty has started to stick his neck out there a little bit more. Some direct call outs as well. So kudos
Yeah.
to him. Hopefully the tide doesn't change on Scotty, because I've come to appreciate and love Scotty in the same way in terms of just the personality. I mean,
Yeah.
people were saying he was a bump on the log when he first started winning, but you can see the personality coming out. So
Yeah.
shout out to Rory. Shout out to Roger Steele.
Agreed. My only input to that is, firstly, I agree. I think we probably took Rory for granted, especially these last 3 years. And somebody said that Rory's been sad because Jay Monahan's on his way out. I was like, I'm thinking in my head, Rory don't fuck with Jay Monahan like that. Not after what happened
No.
with the LIV discussions. They went
No.
behind his back and was trying to renegotiate after he was a statesman and was like, nah. But also shout out to Dominic Reed. He's been a guest on our show before. Probably almost 2 years now. Right? Maybe
Yeah,
a year and a half.
Yeah.
But he called it. We talked about this on the show. It was probably like right after his 22 Masters win. So dang, it's been a while. No, we talked to him in 23, I think.
It was 23, I think. Late
So
23.
he asked us, do we think Scotty Scheffler's a star? And we needed to see some more out of him before we could claim him as a star. But Scotty has made a full circle moment and he is starred out. Bro is he's one of the ones. And Dom saw it and we didn't. Or I didn't. I don't want to put Rod in there. But shout out to Dom for knowing, man. He that was a good insight because I didn't see it. And now he's refreshing, he's honest, and he's the number one golfer for over 2 years now. I mean, like he's putting it on folks. Pause. But yeah.
Putting the fear of God in people when he's rolling up or on the leaderboard. You got to look out for Scotty when he's coming. So
I mean, you saw the segment, right? You saw the bro. We're struggling today. We saw all the segments though. I mean, if the weather's gonna blow like it does today, then I don't know. You just gotta keep your back turned for Scotty. He could make a push. You know, he's only 7 off the lead. Like, bro,
they were hoping they were hoping against hope that Scotty would make it dramatic. But
imagine,
I mean, yeah
he could make
TV got the finish that it needed, right? I mean, after the delay, I think it ended up being just fine, and the ratings were probably just as good. I mean, it was probably one of the better. I mean, U.S. Open has really been riveting the last couple of years. So
it's been carrying.
Yeah,
and it
really has.
There was plenty of fanfare despite the weather. I mean, like, you know, people gonna leave, but it was still 5 deep on a lot of those last groups.
Oh, they were sludging through the mud and all. They were sticking it out.
Mm-hmm.
I did see a note about the PGA Championship that it should move back further in the year. I don't know. I tend to agree with that, man. I mean, I feel like we kind of it's definitely the bottom of the 4 majors for me. I just there's not a lot of memorable PGA Championships. that I can say like, man, that one was really good. I mean, they've been catastrophic. I mean, I can think about the last three. This year was kind of ho hum. Last year was Xander winning was okay. It was okay. And then the year before that was that the JT year when he won in Oklahoma?
That was
Was that
22.
or was that it was 23?
23. That was Brooks and Oak Hill.
Oh, that's right. Which that one was good, right? And we saw
Michael
Michael
Block.
Block
Yeah.
fly too close to the sun. So okay. But I mean, 1 out of 4.
Listen, Rod, I'm not seeing it, Bubba. Listen, if it's forgettable, put it early in the season. I don't want to forget about it in August. I'm ready for the playoffs.
Look, I like this. I like the back to back. I love Masters 1 month, PGA, US Open, and then the Open. I love the bang 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 of it all. I mean, because then we're interspersing it with the women's majors, which is coming up this week as well. So it feels like we're always getting consequential golf, but the PGA Championship right now is just the weak link of them all. We'll see how the women's fares this year with them playing up in Fields Ranch. I'm going to go ahead and mention that and get that off of our list of stuff to talk about. So local major happening for me at least. I'm here in DFW, so that one will be cool. And their second major in Texas this year. So
it's in Frisco.
Couple more things from. Go ahead.
It's in Frisco for everybody that wants to know. It's technically DFW, but DFW
Far
Metro.
north.
You know what I'm saying? DFW Metroplex is like Houston Metroplex. Cypress, Humble, all that stuff is still included in Houston Metroplex, but we all know the drive, so let's be for real here. It's an hour away from Dallas, and that's fighting through actual Dallas Metroplex cities like Richardson, McKinney, Plano. Like I'm claiming all of them in the Dallas DFW.
It's north of north in the same way that like certain parts of where is it? Where we used to play out in Weatherford every once in a while.
Bruh.
I'd say go to Fort Worth and then keep going.
Literally, bro. So that's like, so when people say like, "Hey, we're in Dallas," no, you're not. You're not, bro. You're in Frisco.
Yeah, they're gonna.
They're
gonna say Dallas a lot this week.
And that's the thing. They're at PGA Frisco headquarters. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like, make that its own thing because Frisco's doing it. Frisco built up bruh. The last like 18 years of growth is insane. Pause.
I think they're getting. I think they're getting Universal Studios like real close to it. So yeah, Frisco is its own kind of mini major city within the DFW metro. Swinging back, we kind of touched on it. You mentioned Jay Monahan. We do have a new, and I think it came to fruition today that Jay Monahan will be leaving. New guy, Brian Rolap. That's coming over from the NFL. So we've known what the juggernaut from a media standpoint that, the NFL has been. They've dominated TV ratings for as long as, that we can think about at this point. Unchallenged. No one's been able to even get close to where they've been. So if he can bring even just a little bit of the institutional knowledge that has made the NFL what it is, bring some of the ideas, product presentation to, maybe help out PGA. We've talked about some improvements that they've made this year in terms of camera angles. I feel like this week was a mixed bag with the US Open. We did see quite a few shots below the green surface with players to kind of get us an idea of depth perception. Quite often they rely on those overhead shots, which don't give you a really good feel for the challenges that these courses are presenting. Like, I don't think we got a really good idea from the front to back or back to front sloping greens at Oakmont. We got a lot of overhead shots. So that's something that they've done better at different parts of the year. I think it's CBS that's done a really decent job with some of those shots this week with USA. Mixed bag, but not,
Yeah.
I would say not so much.
Yeah.
So hopefully, again, this Brian dude coming over from the NFL can help bring some ideas from, how the products can look better on TV, what people are looking for, especially him coming in with brand new eyes that, you walk into somebody's house and, you're smelling new smells, you're seeing, dust that's been there forever, but the homeowner doesn't know because they live in it every day. So
Right.
hopefully with the new set of eyes in golf, get Jay Monahan the French toast out of there. Let him get his check, his payoff, and get on down the road. Because he's been probably one of the worst parts of golf over the last 3 years. Poor leadership in so many different ways.
Bad
Very,
direction.
very bad direction. Very reactive versus proactive.
Yeah.
Could have got ahead of this live shit a long time ago, but again, got the big britches, thought that they couldn't be touched. And while they've made a good recovery over the last year and a half, it didn't have to be this way. So
Right.
I'm so happy that he is stepping aside and sunsetting himself. Those spend your meals that you're earning from this, deal that y'all just got last year,
Right.
and never touch the game of golf again, please.
Right. Right off into the sunset with your residuals and don't look back. But yeah,
Right.
I think it's a and I think this works well in both products because the NFL is going to be able to the NFL is so big. It's such a big product that they're going to be able to, come out of the woodworks with another guy to replace Rolap. It does nothing for the NFL and it does everything for the PGA. I feel like this is a great get for the PGA, and I feel like that in itself is going to be very refreshing. He tried to be personable. He wanted to at first it started with like a 50-player name list, but he went down the line at the range, was handshaking folks, made an official statement. So yeah, I mean, you
got in front of the media immediately.
And they already are asking them dumb questions, but we'll save that for a different day.
We'll pause. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But yeah, hopefully Jay Monahan doesn't do some shady shit, teaches them the right things, and he goes on about his day with the experience of the past and leads on into the future with fresh eyes, like you said. I think that was a great example when you said you've been in the house, you don't smell the house smells, but somebody fresh, what's that?
Hey, y'all need to take the trash out.
Yeah, let's freshen this up real quick. All right, okay.
Let's get some Febreze on this couch, and I think he's gonna do that, right? I mean,
yes.
Like, luckily, there is some momentum on the side of the PGA Tour.
Yes.
Is it a perfect situation? But no, by any means. But I think they've been able to show that they are the more long-term product versus LIV. LIV has its merits, but at the end of the day, it's just not enough golf. It's not in places that we care about. It's not on courses that we care about.
Right.
Good for those local markets that they're bringing golf to. But at the end of the day, I don't care if the game of golf is worldwide. That, to me, somebody, people used to blast us when we would say that. But, I mean, if you look at the DP World Tour's schedule, I mean, pretty worldwide when we're talking about that side of, the globe. There's golf on a lot of different, in a lot of different countries on the DP World Tour. Combine that with the PGA Tour, combine that with other smaller tours. There's just, I don't know. Again, they're filling a niche that didn't necessarily need to be filled. So, yeah, kudos to that man. Before we get too deep, let's get into JJ Spaun's what's in the bag. Before we keep moving, it's our last one from the Oakmont weekend.
Ooh, boy. Hey, you already know what I'm finna say. Shout out to them Titleist boys, that GT Nation. Oh my goodness.
And you can, man, with the wear marks, this bad boy's been in the bag for a couple years.
Another one since the synopsis of it.
Right, and you can tell. I mean, most of that wear is on the hosel side, so that cut is reliable. I mean, that thing was. I mean, I was so impressed with his iron game this weekend. I mean, that was the one thing that really stood out to me. That man can hit some irons, and he's not particularly long off the tee, which we'll get into on the last slide. But the Titleist GT3 at 9 degrees, pretty standard fare here. Fujikara Ventus Black, they did note the Velocore Plus 6X flex there. So we don't often see the Velocore, or at least not always noted, with that Ventus Black. So I know you said this earlier, several What's in the Bags ago, that this is a different variation than just the traditional Ventus Black.
Yeah, just a little bit more boardier, aka stiffer, a little bit more stout. And it has a few different characteristics as far as the kick point goes, but it's something that if you're not a pro, you really shouldn't be touching. That's why it's like definitely an upcharge. But I mean, it's really just more of a case of you need to be swinging hard enough to actually get the characteristics of the shaft. And a lot of these guys nowadays are not swinging hard enough. So yeah, it is definitely in a different price range and a different ball game. So he's at least got that. And if you can swing hard enough, then it is a very, very valuable shaft. Very much so.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's why you play with. Let me just interject this real quick. Guys, if y'all are looking for a stouter shaft, you probably should stay towards stiff or X-stiff and just ask your fitter about getting your shaft tipped. That adds stiffness to it. That changes the kick point. So there's different ways to incorporate a certain stiffness or a certain characteristic without you feeling like you need to get a $300 upcharge to a certain shaft just because you see that's what the pros are playing. There is definitely stuff in the market, very much affordable, that you can, kind of quick kip, and then you still be well off for yourself. Let me just say that.
Yeah. In the woods, and I do want to make a note that I think he ended up going with the 7 wood.
Yeah.
Both the TaylorMade QI10, 15 degree, and I think he played around with the 18. But again, I think he ended up putting the 21 degree 7 wood in the bag. A lot of 7 woods out there. Either way, he did play it in the Mitsubishi Diamana PD80. He has the same shaft in the 18 and the 21 degree. But in his 3 wood, he was playing that PD70. So
shout out to Diamana again.
Yeah, I mean they're doing their thing. And it's very interesting. I mean, TaylorMade was on to something with the QI10 lineup.
Hey,
this year,
listen, bro, they chasing ghosts now. It's untouchable. They're gonna have to go back to it. Whatever they in the face that they have, or whatever shape that they have. I mean, the colorway in general was definitely way better than what they got going on with the QI35.
Because you like that glossy black that this one was.
It's like a navy. Way better than that
gloss.
Yeah, way better than that gray with the little bolt green that they tried to incorporate. Miss me.
Not for you.
Not for me.
And this is kind of the theme. So literally last week we reviewed Ryan Fox's What's in the Bag coming off of his win at the RBC Canadian. Srixon is on to something, man. And you sent me a video. It was just, we had too many video components this week, so I didn't queue it up. But the characteristics with these ZXI 7 and the ZXI 5 irons are becoming really popular. And I get it. Like there are, the Srixon staffers that play these. But honestly, I feel like there's a lot of because of the soul grind, and his seems like it's a little bit different than the ones that Fox was playing. Of course, that's custom for each player.
Yeah.
But they have the V soul grind, which kind of get you in the turf, get you out of the turf pretty quickly. And I think a lot of players could benefit from that turf interaction, particularly if you live in a place like Texas with a lot of hard pan,
Yeah,
unforgiving turf. That this would be a great iron to go get fit for, and it looks amazing.
it
Like
looks
if you look at the
amazing.
top, if you look at the top line of this thing, um, really good down on the ball. They look good in the bag itself. So, he's playing the ZX 5 in the 4 iron, and then 5 through pitch and wedge. He's got the sevens with the True Temper Dynamic Gold Tour issue X100. I think Fox had like the 4 and 5 in the 7,
Hmm.
but ultimately these really good combo sets that, I mean, honestly could work for a lot of amateur golfers. I think Srixon's putting out some of the best clubs, and we've talked about this.
Yeah,
It's the same thing with the balls, which we'll get to with irons. There is, I feel like we're in the golden age of golf equipment right now.
yes,
There's really not a lot of bad products out
right.
there.
You
So
have your picks.
yeah, you're finding what works best for you. And I think this fits just because, you're not gonna you're gonna be the loner with the Srixon club in your bag.
Yeah,
I think people are missing out on the opportunity
I
with
think
what they're putting out.
I agree. Honestly, me and you, we talk about this a lot. What clubs are in your bag, and if we think you're going to be a player or not. I, I'm not disrespecting you at all. If I see a Srixon iron
Right.
set,
Right.
I might give you a little bit more respect. Like, all right, bro, you know what? Maybe we don't play for money with you. Maybe you,
or or you'd be apt to believe, like when you get matched up with a rando
right?
and they
It's
start hitting some crazy shots,
yeah,
and they start yelling out like, "This is not me. This is not how I play." If you had Strixons in the bag, I might actually believe you
I might
that you're
actually
having
believe
a
you.
real off day that day, because
Yeah,
honestly, it's the players club. But again, I think you can game these. There's enough forgiveness with the cavity,
yeah,
with the weighting. It's a good iron.
yeah. Go to their
Hope
website.
they get love. I
Go to
hope
their
they get
website.
love.
Yeah, it's super customizable, bro. I mean, so like if y'all see my clubs, you see them like in a what's in a bag or whatever. I have customized ferrules that I got ordered and installed. They do that in their shop. They have color customized ferrules for you for the hosel. They color coordinate with the Srixon logo, so it's not necessarily this black backdrop. You can get it in red, you can get it in blue, whatever you'd like with the shaft and the grip to match it. So if we're talking about personality and we're talking about customization, Srixon's well into that game. So that's something that pretty much kind of brings people in as well. It's gonna
Yeah,
look like my irons. I did not,
individualized, right?
you know, yeah,
Um, Interesting wedge setup for this gentleman. But as I said last week, the RTZ, kind of the one in the middle, that that back is just so damn clean to me.
it's
It's just
juicy.
uninterrupted.
It's
That
juicy.
Cleveland that Cleveland is just uninterrupted. But he's got three different versions of his wedges in his 50, 54, and 60. Um, Very interesting, right? That
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like, why couldn't you? I mean, it's his club. Clearly, it's working. Clearly, whatever he's doing is working. I'm not questioning it, but rarely do you see three different individual irons or different wedges in the bag from the same
right.
manufacturer. So what do you think's behind that? Any thoughts?
I guess what presents down by the ball the best for him, because you know how niche the game is for golfers. Probably I've had the 50 in my bag the longest. So this is what always looks good to me for like full shots. And then the 55 or whatever, the 54, my fault, is what probably, it might be bent to 55. But at, for claim sakes, it's a 54.
Yeah,
Um this is probably the new tech. This is probably something where they were like, hey, You're gonna get some more controllable spin. The turf interaction is good with this, with the with the little mid bounce, and then of course everybody just needs the newest, latest, and greatest 60 because of all the grooves and wedge play that they
Right.
use around the green and stuff like that. So that'd be my only guesstimation for why there's 3 different wedges, or 3 wedge designs and stuff like that. But I don't see anything wrong with it. I think they all look good, and like, I mean, I don't know. Me personally, if I'm not going with Vokey wedges, I'd probably personally go to TaylorMade. But Cleveland has long time been a great wedge maker, so there is no disrespect ever to what they produce as far as
No.
wedge game goes.
No. Club, I had been steady, with my bag for a long time, and just recently picked up a new putter this past, like, yesterday.
Congrats.
Now I was like, thank you. Got home and I was looking at my bag and I was like,
These wedges
maybe
old.
it's time to get. I know, right?
This
I was
dude.
like, well, do I need to go get fit for some new wedges? They look fine and my grooves are still good. But again, the golf is so addictive, and your tinkering side really does come out where you're just like, before you know it, you spent like $1,000 on new stuff and don't know where it went. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the infamous L.A.B putter that we talked about earlier. It's atrocious, man. Like, I could not, to me, down by the ball. I know you already hate the center shafted putter. I don't know. I feel like that, from a weighting standpoint, I can see why he went with this, putter. With him coming up short in the players and literally coming up short on putts, that some additional weight would help him out. But I don't think JJ Spaun was ever a bad putter. Like, with misreads, technique looks completely fine. So I'm more apt to believe that it's the user input here, and L.A.B just gets the benefit of, he was using their putter at the time. Epic, put on 18. So they get the TV time. Their owner, or CEO, apparently just, was lost his mind. Slept better than he said he ever had, because he knows those sales are going to come in. So,
oh Lord,
again, for $700, I don't know, man.
Not your everyday putter, bro.
Still very interesting that he's using the Scotty Cameron Pistolini grip on
Best
this
grip on the market. If it's not a Scotty Cam grip, then it's got to be a Super Stroke, and those the only 2 in my bag, brother. I don't know, that ping grip that Tiger uses it's very similar to the Pistolini that he has. So essentially, the same grip. But yeah.
Yep. It optimizes the feel. It's what I had on my TaylorMade Spider as well. So
yeah.
I get it. But in the Golf Pride version, I had the Golf Pride version,
right.
which is also right in that same line. And then the Srixon Z-Star Diamond. Again, we talked about it again. I hate harping on it, but I think it's worth mentioning as many times that this is a performing ball. This ball is so legit. I'm telling you, I keep trying out new balls, and I am more and more impressed. This is one of those ones that I have tried this year, and feel like what I input into the ball is what I get as a response. It's a 3-piece ball. It's their high-end ball with the diamond, and there's a few different versions on the higher end that they offer. But the Z-Star Diamond is a really good ball. So if you haven't tried it, you go to a course and they have a, like a sleeve. I recommend trying it out, seeing if it can fit your game. I really think it's a quality ball.
Yeah.
And durable.
Yeah.
Very tough cover. So that is the winning what's in the bag for JJ Spaun. Shout out to him. Shout out to Srixon for being underrated club maker right now. I mean, one of the best in the game. And really, the last thing that I want to mention from a golf perspective is on the LPGA side. Unless there's anything else from Oakmont that you want to throw in there.
No.
Cool. Carlotta Saganda, slow player of both. I think probably the worst in both LPGA and PGA. Has picked up her pace, even though I didn't watch it. It was U.S. Open weekend. Ends up breaking her 8.5 year drought. Gets a win on tour. She's 35 years old. Been out there forever. Has played in a ton of Solheim Cups. I mean, you can tell. I mean, the homegirl is talented. You can that long, languid swing. Gets a lot of distance on the ball. But again, we've been down on her as she's been a massive, slow player. Called out by multiple people. But their new rule on the LPGA is very penal. And so I think that's really kept her moving. And, like we always say, if you're going to play fast. If you're going to play bad, play fast. If you're going to play good, play fast. At the end of the day, right? I mean, literally taking 50 practice swings, reading the green from 45-degree angles and every back, forward, side. It was what she would do. And she doesn't move fast in general, like walking. Right. So, I mean, salute to her for getting a win after 8.5 years. She said some self-doubt started to creep in, but she was able to overcome that. Anything else you want to mention about her before we move on?
No, not about her, but about the LPGA. LPGA is in for a rude awakening with this link style golf. They don't play it much. So we finna see how they play in this win. And they had their first windy day today for the Pro-Am or whatever. So we finna see, man. I'm excited to see how it goes for the women's PGA, the LPGA Championship. I really want to see how PGA Frisco plays on TV with hopefully a decent amount of fanfare, but more so no tree cover. We'll see how it goes.
It's gonna be hot.
Heated green and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know. I'm really excited though. I really want to see how this plays so we can me and Rod will have a discussion about courses going forward. We've talked about this as far as the LPGA venues go. They've really stepped it up as far as where they've put the players, where they're playing now as far as major venues and, their mainstays along the tour season and stuff like that. So this is just another tab on that conversation. So I'm looking forward to see that so we can have a discussion about it and how it plays. But yeah, I guess as far as it goes, I mean, Lexi is still slowly retiring.
I do want to say a few years ago, actually 2023,
they played in Trinity or something like that.
No, the men.
The men did.
Seniors, they played at on the East course, I believe. And actually it presented pretty well from what I remember.
That's cool.
I remember it going down to a playoff with Steve Stricker and somebody else. And it looked, again, pretty good on TV from what I remember. I think I watched one full day of it just because I was intrigued about the course, because I am not willing to pay the $300 to play in North Texas golf. There's just other options available for less than $300. So I haven't been willing to plop down the dollars for that. But we'll see. I do think the heat will be a factor. I mean, we're talking about low 90s all weekend, all the way from there's no rain in the forecast. High of Friday will be 94. And like you said, there's not very much tree cover out there. Summer has hit North Texas. I think we just skipped past the spring. We are fully in the summer, having some really hot scorching days up here. What's this face?
I'm looking it up. So, yeah, you're right. 2023 was the year that they played at PGA Frisco for the men on Fields
Yeah.
Ranch East. Yeah, par 72, Gil Hans. But they didn't give me any scores. They just gave me the scores from this prior year. So that's why I was kind of squinty eyed.
You're
But
like
yeah, you're
trying to
right.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Oh, hopefully it
But
presents just
I'm
as
excited
good.
again. More major golf, back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Hopefully the LPGA
Plus
has a
elevated
good
event
week.
travelers. We're getting all the golf.
Yeah. Right. So looking forward to it, man. Golf season has been really good this year. Lots to talk about, lots of fun equipment stuff. I sent you them blades, those what is it, 980? God, 680?
The 680
It's from
Titleist MB's
Titleist.
coming back. Limited
Woo!
run.
And
Them
so
boys is the beaut.
every once in a while, just because like my first set of clubs were some blades, I learned to play on some Tommy Armour blades. So every once in a while, so I know how to hit them. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I was forced to learn how to hit blades to start playing this game, and still fell in love with it. So every once in a while, I'll see some blades, and I'm like, oh,
Maybe.
I know it's not gonna
The
be
feel
good.
is like none other. When you hit it out the middle
I know.
with the blade, I mean, I get it, bro. I get it. Me, I could never, but I get it though. 100% get it. No, them T150s might be in my bag in the next year though. That's what I will say though.
That's true. Just a little bit of help, and they still look good down by the ball.
Oh, them T150s, they might be calling my name. Oh my gosh.
Again, golf tinkering and equipment purchases. It's ridiculous.
Ugh.
We're an hour and a half in almost. Let's wrap. What are your predictions? NBA Finals 3-2 Oklahoma City, but going back to Indiana, do we go to 7
Doesn't
games?
matter. No, Tyrese Halliburton done redid his calf, so it's over. I'm sorry. Yeah,
So he
got
only
an
had like
MRI.
4 points yesterday, right?
Yeah, it was bad, but he didn't hurt his calf until like the third quarter, end of the third quarter. So that ain't an excuse why he was playing passive or whatever. He was 0 for 6 for like most of the game.
You know
I
who
don't
else
know
has
what his
been-
deal was, but they
Go ahead.
too. I
Nimhart
was just
has
gonna say
also
I don't know
not,
what's going on with my.
Nimhart has
Yeah.
not been as aggressive as he. I mean, he went from like a guy that was just kind of like a cocky, I'll pull it from anywhere type of shooter, to really being hesitant to. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. It's just been weird.
Yes and no, I get it, but like also like me and you, we've been spoiled in basketball as far as the greats being two-way players. So like your GOAT MJ, a lot of people's GOAT Kobe, and then just the best players have been always able to dial it up on offense whenever, but then when needed, guard the best player. And we're seeing that Nimhard doesn't quite have that characteristic yet. He can't shoulder an adequate amount of offensive ability and also guard SGA full court 94 feet all game. So I think that's going to be something that we see in the offseason that he works on, is just durability, endurance, and being able to get his shot off whenever need be, just to kind of step in as that third scorer behind Hallie and Siakam as solidifying force. But no, I get it, I see it, but also that's be my only justification, because like I said, we got spoiled. You're not gonna see that shit every day. Them being able to actually hold up on both sides of the ball and still be able to get busy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a changing game. And hell, the fact that I think the picking up
Specialists
full
are coming back too, though. Specialists.
Yeah, but you still have to have some ability to like the 3 and D guy it's evolving, right? It's
Yeah,
evolving. I
true.
forgot to send you this video the other day. This dude that broke it down and said there's literally like 7 positions. You know, we're moving outside of the traditional kind of point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward,
Yeah,
center. That it's like 7 different roles at this point in the NBA game. So it's hard because we've lived through these different eras of basketball to kind of like so I can tell like there's a group of old heads that are completely like the days of Jordan are it, and I get it. Like the young guys are like statistically coming up with all these ways how Jordan was actually garbage. Um, it's a trip watching these different arguments, and I'm like, look, I can appreciate it all. Like actually, this finals has been very
yeah,
fun to watch. Visual like after the first two, you know, really first game was a blowout, but then after that we have no. No, first game was the shocker. Second game was the blowout. Sorry.
yeah.
Outside of the second game,
It's been
really
good
good. I
basketball.
mean, the fourth quarter of yesterday was kind of but really fun, entertaining style of basketball, free flowing. You're still seeing defense being played.
Right.
We're not seeing just tons of threes being chunked up. So I really appreciated the finals, even though I know people were like, "Oh, this is the one finals matchup that we did not want." I wholeheartedly disagree. It's been super enjoyable. I am like Jalen Williams super fan. Like I think that kid. Hopefully they. I don't know. I can see him winning the championship when he's up for a contract renewal, doing the James Harden, you know, with the championship and going somewhere else. Because
Yeah,
the game is like crazy good. It's old school. It's I don't know. I love watching him on offense, but that's just me.
yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just a hater. They let OKC get away with a lot as far as like physicality and stuff like that. But I mean, they do that
Yeah.
with a lot of different teams as far as like the hand checking and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of teams can't hand check like they can. But again, they got that pedigree as a physical defensive team. So of course that's the style that they play. So that's how the referees are going to officiate them. So you can't even truly hate on it because they're allowing it. So and then Indiana is doing it too.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at it at all. But
Right.
Neesmith need to do some work in the gym though. He need to get back in the lab. He didn't get back in the lab because they switching off of Nimhard to go at Neesmith, and he ain't got
Yeah.
it right now.
Well, he's too athletic to not be able. That's not get. That's just technique, right? And
Exactly.
effort.
He need to get in the
Because
lab.
physically he's got it. Physically he's got it.
Right.
Um, did you see the? It was a story. I want to say where I can't remember where I saw it. It was probably on TikTok. But it was talking about the female assistant coach for Indiana. That's kind of the brain behind the offensive schemes. Ended up drawing up the play for Halliburton in game one. Interesting story. Single mother, you know, old WNBA player that is
Really?
now the assistant coach. Yeah, it was. I'll need to go find it, but I'm intrigued by what Indiana's doing. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't
I'm
know.
not
It,
surprised though.
it
Rick is really about that women empowerment shit. It wasn't just the recent stuff that he's been talking about it because I've seen her on the bench for a while. Um,
yeah,
the shout out to DB, to Doris Burke on the coverage. I mean, to all the women in the game. Like, he definitely gives credit when credit is due. So, shout out to Rick for that. The mad scientist is still doing it, and
right.
he's given accolades when it's matter. So, shout out to that coach for sure. We'll get her
Yeah,
name
and
and we'll throw some respect on it.
he doesn't look as angry as he used to be.
Right.
So
Yeah, they be letting him slide too, though. I feel like he's got that. I feel like they're giving him a little extra leash. So I feel like when he was coaching Dallas, he'd be just going off, and they would just throw him
right.
out the game. Like, it wouldn't even be close. It'd be like, nah, bro, you good. Hit the lockers, bro.
Okay, last random basketball topic. The Memphis an Orlando trade. Desmond Bain for 4
Ugh.
first round picks. What do you think
Lose,
of short
lose.
arms? That man's got the shortest arms I have ever
In
seen
the
on a
NBA,
basketball player.
in the NBA, in the NBA, it's a fact. It's a scientific fact. He's got the shortest wingspan per his height. He's like 6'4", with like maybe 5 feet. I want to say, give or
Yeah.
take.
I see people coping and trying to justify that he's the missing piece for Orlando. The truth is, I feel like the Knicks are squandering their opportunity. That any momentum that they just built up this year is already gone.
Yeah,
But Indiana is going to be there for a couple of years.
yeah.
And to think that Orlando is going to hop skip them. I mean, Boston's still there.
Boston's still there.
I don't know, man.
You never know with Miami. They might pull it together and go grab some chemistry. Cleveland gonna be there.
Cleveland, yeah. I
Yeah,
feel
New
like
York's in a bad
that's the
place.
biggest reach, bro. This coaching situation. How do you fire a coach and not have a plan about who you're not? I'm so mind boggled by how badly.
Okay, so I was talking about this with the New York Knicks coaching staff. For them to not have, well, first of all, how good is Thibodeau, like, in the history of things? Because when you think about coaches and you think about like the great, they have a tree. Pop has a tree. Phil has a tree.
Oh yeah.
Listen, Carlisle's tree, that shit growing. Mosley.
Thibodeau is too. Thibodeau is just an asshole, though, man. That's the problem. I mean, the accounts of Thibodeau up close in person are not great. He's a pusher.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really set up for systems. I mean, he can coach talent, but in terms of, I don't think he has a well-defined system based on what we've seen out of him. Chicago,
right?
Here.
So, like, when you think about it, you can't fire him because it's a complete rebuild. Because you don't want any of the coaches that he had. There's already internal turmoil about Ricky Brunson in the role he plays as well. So
yeah.
So yeah, man, I really don't know what they got going on, but but that's New York for you. That's James Dolan. Jimmy Dolan gonna find one way or another to mess it up. Fool.
I know So I saw somebody saying that his big project for a few years was building the Sphere out in Las Vegas, and now that project is done, and I mean they're having a hard time generating revenue for that thing. That's a whole nother story. But the fact that was his pet project, and he's been more hands-on with the Knicks again, you see the result. I mean, some people. I mean, these owners that have to be in the mix. I was talking about Jerry Jones today with somebody else, and it's just this generation of owners that like to tinker and don't realize that their talent is not like, that's not how you made your money. Dolan is he inherited his money, but Jerry, yours is off of oil. Like, dude, you're not a football guy, and I get it. You played football at Arkansas, but that doesn't mean that you have an eye for talent and can make these savvy moves. But yeah, man, it sucks that the Knicks had 2-year run, but yeah, they're gonna be back at the bottom and having stupid ass Stephen A. Smith yelling on TV again about the Knicks.
Yeah. So be it.
Coon A. Smith. All right, y'all. Bearded Bros Golf Show. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Fun talking about the U.S. Open. Got a lot of fun conversations out there. We'll be back at it again next week discussing the women's PGA Championship at Phil's Ranch East and the Travelers Championship. And I'm sure the DP World Tour will be back at it as well. So shout out to that. Subscribe. Hit that like button. We'll catch y'all next week. I'm Rod.
And I'm Marcus.
Peace.